Hello, today we'll be talking about Moltres. If one wishes to consider Galarian Moltres the 146th Pokémon, that version is the first Dark Flying type Pokémon. Its previous PYC dates are July 21st, 1996, May 12th, 1999, March 2nd, 2002, December 21st, 2004, October 12th, 2007, August 2nd, 2010, May 23rd, 2013, March 13th, 2016, January 2nd, 2019, and October 23rd, 2021. This is my second favorite of the Kanto legendary birds, design-wise, and the same goes for its Galarian counterpart. Anyway, let's get into the Bulbapedia article. Hello and welcome to the Bulbapedia section of the video. Today we talk about Moltres. As Kantonian Moltres, it's the Flame Pokemon, but as Galarian Moltres, it's the Malevolent Pokemon. Its number is 146. This is Moltres, this is what it looks like. This is Galarian Moltres, this is what it looks like. Kantonian Moltres is Fire Flying, and Galarian Moltres is Dark Flying. Abilities: Pressure as Kantonian Moltres, and Berserk as Galarian Moltres. Kantonian Moltres' hidden ability is Flame Body. Gender ratio is gender unknown, catch rate 3 or 1.6%. Breeding is egg group. No eggs discovered, and hatch time 80 cycles, but egg not obtainable. Regardless, the height is 6'7" or 2 meters. The weight of Kantonian Moltres is 132.3 pounds or 60 kilograms. The weight of Galarian Moltres is 145.5 pounds or 66 kilograms. Base experience yield is 217 in the first 4 gens, and 261 in 5+. Leveling rate is slow. EV yield is 3. For Kantonian Moltres, it's in special attack, but for Galarian Moltres, it's in special defense. Shape is that, footprint is that, Pokedex color is yellow, other forms may have other colors, and base friendship is 35. Moltres is a dual-type fire-flying legendary Pokemon introduced in Gen 1, and Galar Moltres has a dual-type dark-flying regional form that was introduced in the Crown Tundra expansion. Neither Kantonian Moltres nor Galarian Moltres are known to evolve into or from any other Pokemon. Along with Articuno and Zapdos, it is one of the 3 legendary birds of Kanto. Biology: Moltres is a large avian Pokemon with a light yellow plumage. It has a long, flowing head, crest, and a billowing tail, both made of reddish flames. Additionally, its wings are also shrouded in fiery plumage. It has a long, thin neck, a pointed brown beak, and small triangular eyes. Its thin brown legs have anisodactyl feet with 3 forward-facing digits and 1 facing backward. So you can see a Moltres feather here. Got some fire and stuff. Moltres sheds embers with every flap of its wings, creating a brilliant flash of flames. By dipping itself into the magma of an active volcano, this Pokemon can heal itself. It migrates from the south with the coming of spring, and is said to bring an early springtime to cold lands. There have been stories of Moltres using its wings to assist those lost in the mountains. Moltres is rarely seen. Moltres loves Moltres treats made by Snacksworth, who once encountered it in the past. Shadow Moltres is the only known Pokemon capable of learning the move Shadow Fire. Shadow Moltres is the only known Pokemon capable of learning the move Shadow Fire. Also, in Gen 2, Sky Attack was its signature move, but other Pokemon could still inherit it via breeding. Yes, I'm well aware that this is a repeat. I imagine what happened was someone put it in, and then they accidentally copied it, or maybe they copied and pasted it from somewhere, and they just accidentally put it in twice. It happens sometimes. Forms: Moltres has a regional form, Galarian Moltres, and Galar Moltres has a similar build, but a drastically different color scheme. Its body is primarily black with scarlet highlights and bright blue eyes. Its scarlet beak is hooked at the tip and leads to markings that run down its front and behind its head. Its feet are also scarlet with black talons. Its wings, crest, and tail are mostly black, with the crest having an extra curl at the front and the tail being split in 2. And all 3 of these features exude a magenta flame-like energy that earns it the name of its Kantonian counterpart. Its body apparently feels lukewarm to the touch. The sinister energy that blazes from within its body is so oppressive that most Pokemon can't even approach it. Galarian Moltres attacks by spreading its wings wide to unleash its energy in a powerful aura that attacks the minds of its foes, inflicting deep fatigue as it burns away their energy from within. The aura has the power to consume the spirit of its victims, reducing them to burned-out shadows of themselves. As seen in Charge Galar Mine, the only way to overcome the effects of its aura is to have a strong spirit. It is said to have a haughty personality and a calm demeanor. So you can see the Galarian Moltres' aura here. It is constantly migrating around the world, but can be found in the Crown Tundra once every few decades, congregating with the other birds at the Dyna tree to eat its fruits. Galarian Moltres is the only Pokemon capable of learning the move Fiery Wrath. Game data, NPC appearances, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Red Rescue Team, and Blue Rescue Team. Moltres resides at the top of Mount Blaze and challenges the player and partner when they trespass. After Moltres is defeated, it is convinced by the player's partner to allow them to pass through. Pokedex entries. In Gen 1, in Red and Blue, known as the legendary bird of fire, every flap of its wings creates a dazzling flash of flames. Yellow, a legendary bird Pokemon. As it flaps its flaming wings, even the night sky will turn red. Stadium, a legendary bird Pokemon known as the Firebird. Every time it flaps, its wings flare and burn brightly. In Gen 2, in Gold, this legendary Pokemon scatters embers with every flap of its wings. It is a thrilling sight to behold. Silver, this legendary bird Pokemon is said to bring early spring to the wintry lands it visits. Crystal, legendary bird Pokemon. It is said to migrate from the south along with the spring. For Stadium 2, if you have Pokemon Red, Silver, or Crystal inserted, you get the Gold entry, but if you have Pokemon Blue, Gold, or Yellow inserted, you get the Silver entry. In Gen 3, in Ruby and Sapphire, Moltres is a legendary bird Pokemon that has the ability to control fire. If this Pokemon is injured, it is said to dip its body in the molten magma of a volcano to burn and heal itself. Emerald, Moltres is a legendary bird Pokemon that can control fire. If injured, it is said to dip its body in the molten magma of a volcano to burn and heal itself. Fire Red, one of the legendary bird Pokemon. Those seeing it are overwhelmed by its orange wings that seem to be on fire. Leaf Green is very similar to Red and Blues, but slightly different, so I'll read it. It is said to be the legendary bird Pokemon of fire. Every flap of its wings creates a dazzling flare of flames. In Gen 4, in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, one of the legendary bird Pokemon. It is said that its appearance indicates the coming of spring. Heart Gold and Soul Silver are basically Gold and Silvers, but Pokemon is now the correct casing. The Gen 5 Pokedex entries are Diamond, Pearl, and Platinums. In Gen 6, X is Leaf Green's entry. Y is Diamond, Pearl, Platinums, and the Gen 5 entries. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are basically their Ruby and Sapphire counterpart, but Pokemon and Moltres are now the correct casing. The Gen 7 Pokedex entry is basically Yellows, but Pokemon is now the correct casing. In Gen 8, for Cantonian Moltres and Sword, it's one of the legendary bird Pokemon. When Moltres flaps its flaming wings, they glitter with a dazzling red glow. Shield, there are stories of this Pokemon using its radiant, flame-coated wings to light up paths for those lost in the mountains. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are very similar to the Diamond and Pearl counterpart, but slightly different, so I'll read it. It is one of the legendary bird Pokemon. Its appearance is said to indicate the coming of spring. For Galarian Moltres and Sword, this Pokemon's sinister flame-like aura will consume the spirit of any creature it hits. Victims become burned out shadows of themselves. Shield, the sinister aura that blazes like molten fire around this Pokemon is what inspired the name Moltres. Game locations, side game locations, events, held items. Pokemon caught in Gen 1 must be traded to a Gen 2 game in order for a held item to appear. That's what these say. So you get bright powder from red, blue, and yellow 100% of the time. Stats, base stats, we'll compare Moltres and Galarian Moltres. So Cantonian Moltres is HP 90 for both, attack 100, 85 for this one, 90, that stays the same, special attack 125, this one has 100, 85 in special defense, that one has 125, speed 90, that stays the same for both for a total of 580. Before we go on here, this is a first opportunity, I think, to show off the dark and flying box here, so you got the dark inside, flying outside. In the Moltres box here, this Pokemon's special base stat in Gen 1 was 125. Pokeathon stats, type effectiveness, we will compare Cantonian Moltres and Galarian Moltres. Cantonian Moltres is damaged normally by normal, flying, poison, ghost, psychic, ice, dragon, and dark, while Galarian Moltres is damaged normally by normal, fighting, flying, poison, bug, steel, fire, water, and dragon. Moltres is weak to rock, water, and electric, rock for 4, water and electric for 2. Galarian Moltres is weak to rock, electric, ice, and fairy, all for double. Moltres is immune to ground. Galarian Moltres is also immune to ground, but it's also immune to psychic. Moltres is resistant to Fighting, Bug, Steel, Fire, Grass, and Fairy, all for half, except for Bug and Grass, which are for fourth, while Galarian Moltres is resistant to Ghost, Grass, and Dark for half. Notes: if Gravity is in effect, this Pokemon is given an Iron Ball in Gen 4 or a Ring target, or is affected by Smackdown or Ingrain. The effectiveness of Ground-type moves is 2, so we go from 0 to 2. In Gen 5, if this Pokemon is given an Iron Ball, the effectiveness of Ground-type moves is 1, so we go from 0 to 1. In Gen 1, the effectiveness of Ice-type moves is 2, so it went from 2 to 1. In the Galarian Moltres box here, notes: if Miracle Eye is used by an opponent or this Pokemon is given a Ring target, the effectiveness of Psychic-type moves is 1. It would go from 0 to 1. If Gravity is in effect, this Pokemon is given an Iron Ball or a Ring target, or it is affected by Smackdown or Ingrain, the effectiveness of Ground-type moves is 1. So it go from 0 to 1. Learn Step by leveling up. Moltres. 1, you get Gusted Leer, 5 Ember, 10 Safeguard, 15 Wing Attack, 20 Agility, 25 Ancient Power, 30 Incinerate, 35 Air Slash, 40 Roost, 45 Heat Wave, 50 Sunny Day, 55 Hurricane, 60 Endure, 65 Overheat, and 70 Sky Attack. For Galarian Moltres, 1, you get Gust and Leer, 5 Payback, 10 Safeguard, 15 Wing Attack, 20 Agility, 25 Ancient Power, 30 Sucker Punch, 35 Air Slash, 40 After You, 45 Fiery Wrath, 50 Nasty Plot, 55 Hurricane, 60 Endure, 65 Memento, and 70 Sky Attack. By TM for Cantonian Moltres. 1 Takedown, 4 Agility, 7 Protect, 14 Acrobatics, 24 Fire Spin, 25 Facade, 27 Aerial Ace, 32 Swift, 38 Flame Charge, 40 Air Cutter, 47 Endure, 49 Sunny Day, 50 Rain Dance, 51 Sandstorm, 60 U-Turn, 65 Air Slash, 70 Sleep Talk, 85 Rest, 97 Fly, 103 Substitute, 107 Will-O-Wisp, 113 Tailwind, 118 Heat Wave, 125 Flamethrower, 130 Helping Hand, 141 Fire Blast, 152 Giga Impact, 157 Overheat, 160 Hurricane, 163 Hyper Beam, 164 Brave Bird, 165 Flare Blitz, 168 Solar Beam, 171 Terra Blast, 172 Roar, 193 Weather Ball, 195 Burning Jealousy, 197 Dual Wing Beat, 204 Double Edge, 207 Temper Flare, and 215 Scorching Sands. For Galarian Moltres, 1 Takedown, 4 Agility, 6 Scary Face, 7 Protect, 14 Acrobatics, 18 Thief, 25 Facade, 27 Aerial Ace, 29 Hex, 30 Snarl, 32 Swift, 47 Endure, 49 Sunny Day, 50 Rain Dance, 51 Sandstorm, 60 U-Turn, 62 Foul Play, 65 Air Slash, 70 Sleep Talk, 85 Rest, 87 Taunt, 92 Imprison, 94 Dark Pulse, 97 Fly, 103 Substitute, 113 Tailwind, 114 Shadow Ball, 117 Hyper Voice, 130 Helping Hand, 140 Nasty Plot, 152 Giga Impact, 160 Hurricane, 163 Hyper Beam, 164 Brave Bird, 171 Terra Blast, 177 Spite, 197 Dual Wing Beat, 199 Lash Out, and 202 Pain Split. By breeding, there's nothing for either version. Side game data, Moltres, got all this, yep. Pokemon Ranger, Guardian Signs in the browser entry. It produces flames and creates pillars of fire to attack. Got all this, yep. For Galarian Moltres. Evolution data, there's nothing for either of them. Sprites, I'm not entirely sure why the box is off the page, it usually isn't. But yeah, I forgot how different Moltres looks for these first two. It actually looks like a, I don't know, like a crane or something. Like it, instead of, I don't know, this other version. It's interesting, how different it looks. Yeah. Because this is much more closer to what we would have, although, I don't know, this is actually how, Gen 2 is interesting because its wings are completely flames, which, this kind of made it ambiguous, these two, but this one made it clear that there's fire with wings, so that's interesting. Yeah, these back sprites don't really work for this one. Yeah, you can see how different, like, just so much of it's different. The body, the neck, the head, you know, the hair, I guess. The Gen 2 shiny is sort of a pink and red. Galarian is probably a callback to this a little bit. That'll be interesting, yeah. Then we've got Gen 3, kind of all the colors, the yellow, the red, and you know, the beak's now that color, and then we've got sort of, so now it's a pink with all the fire effects, and like red, legs and beak. Yeah, these are a little different, a little bit smoother, you know. Its body is quite large and rounded in this one. It's a little bit not as bulbous. Gen 4, you got this. It definitely looks different. It looks like sort of a darker yellow and I think a slightly different pink. More of a gold, I guess, I'd say, for the normal one. Yep, and black and white. Not really much changes, except you get a full back sprite now. That's pretty cool to see the fire and the wings and stuff. Yep. Models, okay. Pretty good. Oh, it's darker pink now. That's interesting. And that's a little bit darker. It looks almost like the color of the sort of darker parts, the shadowed parts, I guess, of this one. But that's pretty cool. It's a little bit different as well. It's not as bulbous in the body. That's interesting. The hair, I mean, that's probably just an effect rather than like the long hair is what makes it iconic. But yeah, it's probably just the angle in which this photo was taken. But yeah, pretty good otherwise. You know, you got that. And, you know, all the things that are needed are here. Yeah. Then you got these. These are going to be a little bit different, maybe a little bit better. And, oh, eyes. Yeah, the eyes are much smaller, which I think definitely helps. Because, yeah, right, like they had fairly big eyes, but like, I don't know, in the models it looks kind of silly, but like the smaller eyes definitely makes it look more normal. Yeah, I kind of got sort of medium-sized eyes, I guess, here, but yeah, pretty good model. They're definitely better models in these games. Homes, Galarian Moltres is, of course, like this one, like the other two birds have been in this one. You know, it kind of has the vague, that's kind of interesting, that it keeps, like, the red parts, I guess, but otherwise, I mean, it looks obviously a lot different with the black, but that's pretty fun. Yep. In the anime, you got Moltres in the anime, Galarian Moltres in the anime. Yep, we got all this. Pokedex entries. For this first one, I've recorded it for an alternate version of the anime. We won't see it in the video later, but I will let Dexter read this.
Moltres, a legendary Pokemon. Its virtues symbolize the Pokemon League competitions.
In whatever HS is, episode 18, in Richie's Pokedex, Moltres, a one-of-a-kind legendary flame Pokemon. So powerful, its fire dust can bring early spring to wintry lands. In what I assume is Journeys, episode 68, in Gary's Rotom Phone, Moltres, the flame Pokemon, a fire and flying type. When injured, Moltres enters the lava of a volcano, and its fiery temperature helps heal its wounds. They say when Moltres appears, it brings spring with it. In Horizons, episode 22, in Roy's Pokedex, no data. I don't know why, but since I guess it's not a Rotom thing, it's probably, maybe this is like a flashback or something from like the past or something. There's all wacky kinds of time travel in these shows, so, and this, I know in the anime, so who knows what's going on with that. Pokemon Origins, Moltres in Pokemon Origins, got all these in the manga, Moltres in Pokemon Adventures, Galarian Moltres in Pokemon Adventures, got all this, yep. Moltres in Pokemon Pocket Monsters, that's interesting. Okay, in the TCG. Other appearances, Super Smash Bros. / Ultimate. Moltres makes a cameo appearance in the Saffron City stage. Very rarely, it will fly by in the background. So you got Moltres in Super Smash Bros. Here. Kind of pixelated image here. You can see how small it actually is. Super Smash Bros. Melee / Brawl / 3DS / Wii U. When released from a Pokeball, Moltres will remain where it is released, flapping its wings. It will then use Sky Attack in Melee or Fly in Brawl to leave the arena. Any opponent that touches it will receive a sizable amount of damage. Moltres is the only legendary bird to return in Brawl. Here you've got Moltres in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Trophy information in Melee. As tradition has it, the onset of spring heralds the return of this legendary Pokemon from its southern home. Its bright orange color and fiery aspect lends to its overwhelming appearance. Sky Attack, the strongest of flying moves, is perfect for this burning phenom, but it obviously also excels at powerful fire-type moves. In Brawl, a flame Pokemon. It's one of the legendary bird Pokemon. When Moltres appears in a town, it is said that spring will come earlier there than in other towns. If Moltres is injured, it apparently returns to a volcano to heal its wings in magma. Moltres spreads its wide flame-covered wings and attacks opponents with the exciting and highly damaging Sky Attack. 3DS/Wii U. You can see Moltres in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS here. She used the trophy in the same game. In North America, this Fire/Flying type Pokemon is one of 3 legendary birds in the Kanto region. It will use Fly when called into a Smash Bros. Battle, flapping its orange wings and sending fire out around it. Getting hit hurts and could launch you so far you'd make Moltres jealous. That isn't a good thing. Pal? Moltres is one of the 3 legendary bird Pokemon of the Kanto region. Along with Articuno and Zapdos, when spreading its huge wings and taking flight, it can make the flame all over its body burn even brighter. If you get hit by those flames during its Fly attack, you might go flying even further than Moltres. In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Moltres returns as a Pokemon summoned from the Pokeball, retaining its behavior from past games. It also appears as a spirit alongside Articuno and Zapdos. Music: this is a list of music associated with Moltres in the Pokemon games. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, when battling Moltres, Articuno, or Zapdos. Battle Wild Pokemon from Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow. It was composed and arranged by Junichi Masuda in Sword and Shield. When battling Galarian Moltres, Galarian Articuno, or Galarian Zapdos. Battle Legendary Bird Pokemon was composed and arranged by Go Ichinose in Pokemon Masters EX. When battling Moltres in the Legendary Arena Battle, Kanto Legendary Pokemon, Pokemon Masters EX version. It was composed by Junichi Masuda, arrangement by Haruki Yamada from Attic Inc. In Scarlet and Violet, when battling Moltres, Articuno, or Zapdos. Battle Wild Pokemon in the Let's Go games. It was composed by Junichi Masuda and arranged by Shota Kageyama. Trivia and artwork for Pokemon Blue in Japan. Moltres had red-colored nails. So you can see that here. Pokemon Blue, Japanese. Artwork by Ken Sugimori. Yeah, it does. That's really weird. I did the second point in the Charmeleon video. In Generations 1, 3, and 7, a trainer at the Cinnabar Gym mentions that Blaine became a Fire-type expert after seeing a Moltres. Moltres' English name was suggested by Bill Geis, who assisted in the naming of many Gen 1 Pokemon. I read this last point in the Articuno video. Origin: Moltres seems to be based on the legends of firebirds such as the Phoenix, the Slavic Firebird, or the Bennu. It may also be based on the vermilion bird of the Chinese 4 symbols, which represents the element of fire and the direction of south. In addition, it may be based on a heron because of their similarities in body shape. As suggested by the Pokédex entries, the 3 legendary birds appear to be embodiments of seasons. Moltres represents spring, while Articuno and Zapdos represent winter and summer respectively. Autumn is, however, unrepresented. Galarian Moltres appears to resemble a cormorant. Its ability to make opponents fatigued with its aura may allude to burnout, a psychological condition of which one of the many symptoms is exhaustion. Its shiny coloration is similar to Cantonian Moltres' regular coloration. Name origin: Moltres is a combination of molten and trace, Spanish for 3, indicating that it is the 3rd in the trio of Kanto legendary birds. It may also derive from molt. Fire is literally fire. In other languages, see also notes, references, external links to the Galarian forms and the legendary Pokemon, and the Super Smash Bros. Series. Let's move on. Let's watch the first scene of Moltres in the anime. Hello and welcome to the anime portion of the video. Today we are watching episode 13, Mystery at the Lighthouse. In this episode, Ash Ketchum here and his traveling companions Brock and Misty, as well as his faithful Pokemon Pikachu, have come to this lighthouse that they're walking towards right now because they need shelter for the night, and he needs to call because he just captured a Krabby and wants to check up on it because he had 6 Pokemon in his party. Yes. So you can see a little bit of the Moltres here. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's there. Yep, you can see it better down there. Yep.
Guess we better ring
It's
the bell.
probably on this side.
I got it.
Okay, here's where we started the Zapdos video, so let's move on. Now let's see why people love Moltres. Now let's look at fan art. Hello and welcome to the fan art section of the video. Nobody sent in fan art, so instead we're looking at DeviantArt fan art. For those of you familiar with the series, you might be wondering why we're on this single image, and that's because this is the only image we'll be doing today. So this is Galarian Legendary Birds by Nova Eden. We did it yesterday for the Zapdos video, but we could do it again. So it has Galarian Moltres, Galarian Articuno, and Galarian Zapdos here. Yesterday I mentioned how I thought that it was like their shinies. I don't think that's actually true, because it still keeps the black legs here. I think they're maybe meant to look more like their Cantonian counterparts. This one being a little bit more yellow, this one having a lot more blue, and this one having a lot more red, and of course the elemental things that I didn't even mention yesterday, how this one has a bunch of fire, ice, and lightning, even though that's not their actual typing. Yeah. And it's a pretty cool image, though. Yep. That's it, let's move on. Thanks to everyone who submitted fan art. Join me tonight at 5 p.m. CMT Central Mountain Time as I try to catch Moltres and the other Pokemon I wasn't able to get this past weekend. As for Galarian Moltres, I'll have to wait until I've talked about the Gen 8 Pokemon to get back to that one. Tomorrow I'll be talking about Dratini. As always, this is my proper outfit, and you'll see me tomorrow.